Suspended ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule expected to brief the media later this afternoon, although details of the time and venue still sketchy at this stage. Now, the ANC Deputy Secretary General Jesse Duarte served Magashule with a letter of suspension yesterday after he refused to step aside voluntarily. Now, members of the party facing criminal charges were given a 30-day grace period to step down from their positions. This is pending the outcome of the legal processes. Now, that deadline expired last week, and so only one ANC member, that's KZN Deputy Chairperson Mike Mabuyakulu, who has voluntarily stepped aside. For more on this, let's get some analysis now from political analyst Barry Hanyane. He is with the Northwest University, joining us all the way in Potchefstroom. Prof, it's tough times for the ANC, I think, to use the words of Pulemabe last night. These are difficult times for the ANC. Ace Magashule expected to hold a media briefing today. Whether that indeed goes ahead, it's a matter of speculation for now. But if it does indeed speak, Prof, is that going to entrench these divisions?
No, absolutely. Good morning, colleague. Good morning to your viewers. I think it goes right at the face of the conditions laid for his suspension as well. One would then reflect on those conditions to say he is not expected to participate in the activities of the party, and in this instance, holding a conference in what capacity? There's still questions lingering there. But rightly so, the ANC has no choice but to go through this painful period in its history. If of course, as leadership, there is a sense of seriousness to actually venture into a new path altogether.
Yeah, let me just quickly come in there, Prof. Let me come in there quickly. If this press conference does go ahead this afternoon by the suspended Secretary General, might he make things worse for himself?
I think so. I think so. It will be more of testing the waters, but also daring the authority of the NEC, the ANC in totality, to say, let's see what you can do. But as things stands, I'm ready for a serious fight. Call it a pushback. One would anticipate that that is a particular stance that he is likely to take. Although it might prove to be somewhat of a kamikaze, suicidal, he might be in a position to do so. After all, he's the one who suspended the president yesterday.
And exactly on that point, Prof, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Exactly on that point, what does that tell us about Ace Magashule's state of mind right now? Those comments that he made last night, that the president is suspended, and that suspension letter saying that it has been served on the president via the SGO. Later, in the very same evening, there was a letter completely, or a statement completely dismissing what the Secretary General was saying. What does that tell us about his state of mind right now?
It tells us that there could be a sense of denial to the political reality that is going on around him. It tells us that perhaps he is in a position where he can easily be accused of actually advancing personal interests at the cost of the interests of the party. So from a distance, one could read that here is a person who sees himself as part of the SG's office and handling all matters correctly. It's not a problem. You can label it as perhaps bordering on the negative psychological space, politically as well. But yes, at the center of it all, there is an element of denial. There's no doubt. It also speaks to the fact that all this time he was indeed buying time the need to consult veterans and former leadership. All of this was part of your so-called Stalingrad tactics.
Perhaps as a final question to you, Prof, the claims that have subsequently been made by the suspended Secretary General is that state resources are being used against certain people in the governing party, and he's gone on to mention, among others, the Minister of Human Settlements, Lindiwe Sisulu. Firstly, how important is it that she comes out to either corroborate what Ace Magashule is saying, but on the other hand as well, how dangerous or how damaging are these claims going to be for the government that is led by Cyril Ramaphosa?
I think what's needed here is evidence. It's okay to lay claim to allegations, but if you don't back that up with credible scientific evidence, it simply remains an opinion that, by the way, has always been used if you go back to pre-Polokwane and post-Polokwane conference, that state resources can easily be used by one faction over the other to advance certain political interests. And who's behind a campaign to actually, in his own words, question his credibility. It will simply remain that he has to face charges before a court of law. He has brought disrepute to the party itself, and of course his integrity is under question publicly. Until such time he proves all these allegations, I don't see him escaping a process of public sympathy.
Perhaps as a parting shot, how seriously should anything that is said by Ace Magashule at this time? We know exactly what the ANC has said, that he cannot speak on behalf of the party whilst he remains on suspension. So how seriously then should he be taken?
He needs to come out with evidence. He needs to project himself as somebody whose integrity is still intact, and I'm afraid it's a bit too late now. His actions yesterday demonstrated that he is, in a sense, quickly losing support within the ANC, and the general public perhaps is beginning to question his intentions, whether he's there to serve the party or whether he's there to advance his own interests. And as things stand, things are not looking good.
Professor Barry Hanyane, thank you very much for your analysis around this matter that seems to be tearing the ANC apart. He is with the University of the Northwest Province.